The air was crisp and chilly as I stepped into the cemetery, the moon casting eerie shadows among the gravestones. I couldn't shake the feeling, though, that I was being watched, but I brushed it off as mere nerves. I had always been intrigued by the supernatural, and visiting a cemetery at night seemed like the perfect way to experience something supernatural. I wandered through the rows of tombstones, my flashlight casting a weak beam of light on the names and dates etched into the old stone. As I ventured deeper into the cemetery, the atmosphere grew heavier. My footsteps echoed off the mausoleum walls, creating an almost surreal symphony. Then I heard it, faint whispers carried by the wind. My heart raced as I strained to catch the words. It was as if the very air around me was alive with the hushed conversations of spirits. My rational mind urged me to leave, but an irresistible curiosity held me there, in place. I followed the whispers to a dark corner of the cemetery where an old oak tree stood, its branches reaching out like skeletal figures. The moonlight filtered through the leaves, casting an eerie pattern on the ground. I shone my flashlight around, and my breath caught in my throat when I saw two translucent figures standing behind the tree. Their faces were pale, their eyes hollow, yet they exuded an aura of profound sadness. They seemed lost in conversation, their voices barely audible but filled with a deep sorrow. I strained to understand their words, feeling a mixture of fear and compassion. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, and the figures turned their gaze towards me. My heart pounded as our eyes met, and for a fleeting moment, I felt a connection, a shared moment of understanding, transcending the barrier between the living and the dead. Then, in an instant, they faded away, leaving behind an eerie silence. Trembling, I stumbled back from the tree and made my way out of the cemetery. The experience left me haunted, questioning the thin veil that separates our world from theirs. The whispers in the moonlight would forever linger in my memory, a reminder of the inexplicable mysteries that await in the realm of the supernatural and life after death. The cemetery lay still as I stepped through its wrought iron gates, my footsteps muffled by the layer of fallen leaves. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a glow on the tombstones. I had always been drawn to the macabre, seeking the thrill of encountering something beyond the realm of the living. As I wandered deeper into the cemetery, a strange sensation tugged on my senses. It was as if the air had grown colder, and the surroundings had taken an almost surreal quality. I chalked it up as my overactive imagination, trying to quell the unease that gnawed at me. A faint light caught my attention, flickering among the trees like a distant star. Intrigued, I followed the eternal glow, my heart pounding in anticipation. The light led me to a weathered mausoleum in stone facade adorned with intricate carvings. The flickering light seemed to emanate from within, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Summoning my courage, I pushed open the creaking door, and a gust of cold wind greeted me. Inside, the light danced across the marble interior, revealing an apparition unlike any I had ever seen. It was a woman, her form translucent yet radiant. She wore a flowing gown that seemed to ripple like water, and her eyes held a mixture of sadness and longing. She beckoned to me, her voice a mere whisper in the silence. "Help me," she implored, her voice carrying a sense of urgency that sent shivers down my spine. I hesitated, torn between fear and compassion. The air grew colder, and the room seemed to darken despite the glowing light. In that moment, I knew I couldn't leave her trapped in this liminal space. I took a cautious step forward, my hand outstretched. As I reached her, my fingers brushed across her icy hand, and a jolt of energy coursed through me. Her form wavered, and for an instant, I glimpsed a flash of gratitude in her eyes. Then, in the blink of an eye, she was gone. The light faded, leaving me standing alone in the mausoleum. The air warmed, and the sense of unease lifted. I left the cemetery with a mix of wonder and fear, forever haunted by the vanishing apparition. Her plea for help remained etched in my memory, a reminder of the thin boundary between the living and the dead. As I entered the cemetery, the moon hung low in the sky, casting elongated shadows across the gravestones. The air was still, and a sense of solemnness blanketed the surroundings. I had always been drawn to the mystique of cemeteries, but on this night, an inexplicable heaviness weighed on me. I walked among the tombstones, each one a testament to lives once lived. The names and dates told stories of people long gone, their stories reduced to mere inscriptions on a stone. As I meandered through the rows, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, not by the living, but something unseen. A whisper of wind rustled the leaves, and I turned to see a figure standing beneath a willow tree. The moonlight filtered through the branches, casting an eerie glow around the figure. My heart raced as I approached, realizing that the figure was not alone. It was accompanied by faint, shadowy forms. The closer I got, the clearer the figures became. They were translucent, their figures twisted in expression of anguish. The air grew louder, and I could almost feel the weight of their collective sorrow. It was as if their regrets and pain lingered in this place, trapped between worlds. One of the figures, a woman with flowing hair and tear-filled eyes, stepped forward. Her voice trembled as she spoke, recounting a tale of lost love and missed opportunities. The other figures nodded in agreement, their voices blending into a haunting chorus of remorse. I listened, my heart aching for the pain they carried. I wanted to reach out to offer comfort, but the barrier between us was not able to be crossed. Their stories were woven into the fabric of the cemetery, their regrets etched into the very essence of the place. As the night wore on, the figures gradually faded, their whispers growing fainter until they were swallowed by the silence. I stood alone beneath the willow tree. A profound sense of melancholy settled over me. The experience had been a poignant reminder that every life is a tapestry of choices and consequences, and that even in death, the echoes of those choices can linger, shaping the stories that are told in the shadows of the cemetery.